Most contractors don't realize they're losing tens of thousands of dollars a year in payment processing fees. Today's guest helps business owners keep more of what they earn while simplifying the way they get paid. Contractors, business owners, if you've noticed that you have fewer calls, fewer quote requests, or lower quality leads lately, pay attention. The way people search online has changed fast because of AI, and many businesses are no longer showing up where they used to. So if you want to know whether your business is even visible these days with the new AI search driven, go to D&D-business- and book a free visibility review. We'll show you where you stand and what's missing and how to improve it. So welcome back to the Builder's Edge. We're here. We will help contractors and entrepreneurs grow smarter, scale stronger, and build better systems. Today's episode is one every contractor needs to hear because we're talking about something quietly draining profits every month after month. Payment processing fees. Yuck. Our guest today is Gannon Young, entrepreneur, business owner himself, founder of Nexus American Jiu-Jitsu in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and someone who understands firsthand the challenges of cash flow, operations, and protecting those margins. Through his work in payment processing and business solutions, Gannon helps companies simplify the way they get paid. They reduce unnecessary fees and create more efficient systems for the invoicing, billing, and collection. Today, we're talking about what contractors are unknowingly losing with platforms like Stripe and Square. Yuck. What smarter payment systems can look like and how automations can completely change the game. Gannon, welcome to the Builder's Edge.
Hey there. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that awesome intro as well.
You're welcome. You've earned it. You have quite a business there just in your jiu-jitsu training and stuff alone. Very impressive. Okay, tell us a little bit about your background and your journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I have Nexus American Jiu-Jitsu. I have trained Jiu-Jitsu now for about 12 years. I previously flew out to San Diego. I was part of a sponsored fighters house, the whole nine. I used to compete quite a bit. Over time, I kind of grew up quite a bit. And I knew that to sustain this and to actually make money with this, I was going to have to open a business. So we have now been open for about 3 years in the heart of Fredericksburg, right off of exit 126. We have about 230, 240 members right now, and we have about 375 five-star Google reviews now. So we're really we're making it happen. We're making it happen over here.
You are. You're building a successful business. That's quite a membership. Just keeping up with that. So,
oh yeah, the team is great. The team is great.
That's what it's about. Good leadership and a great team. So, what led you into this payment processing world specifically?
Man, so actually, one of the ones that you name dropped in the beginning. So Stripe, I was using Stripe previously for my business, and I was doing some math at the end of the month, and I saw how much I was paying for payment processing fees. Wasn't a huge fan of finding out that number, and I'm just doing the math as I'm growing and my business is growing. I'm like, this is only going to get worse. So I did a whole bunch of research, and I started to look into different sales positions, and it just so happened to come across my desk that a merchant services company locally was looking for a sales representative. And next thing I know, now I'm working with about 130 businesses across the U.S. and reducing their payment processing fees. I work with a lot of contractors. I work with a lot of gym owners, a lot of restaurant owners, and everything in between.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, so, you said you finally looked at it. Why do you think contractors won't look at those numbers that we don't, or why? Is it just something that we think we got to do anyway, so we just kind of avoid the number? Why do you think that is?
I think that specifically in the contractor space, they're working so hard They're doing so
Physically,
many different
yes.
things. They are physically working hard. They're managing a lot of moving pieces. Very often the CRM systems that they're using are not exactly up to snuff. So they have definitely, they just are very busy. They're very busy. And I think it becomes an afterthought until they see that large number at the end of the month. And then they're like, man, there has to be something we can do here.
Yeah. Yeah. How big of a problem do you think this is when they see those payment processing fees and really look at them?
I think it's a massive issue because a lot of them, if they haven't noticed it already, they are definitely becoming more and more aware of the different programs that are out there. Some that you can pass the fee to the customer, some of them it's just reducing fees that you yourself are paying. I think that a lot of people are just not educated on the options that are out there. And then they're also not really realizing that, hey, the larger my business scales, the more fees I'm going to have to pay. So it's really important, especially in the beginning, to get properly set up so that you can scale effectively and not have to worry about this problem just becoming larger in the background as
Yeah.
you grow.
Yeah. I think I think we kind of wrap our brain around it like we do with like banking. Like when we go to get like a construction loan at a bank, we think all banks are the same. And if we get turned down for a construction loan, when we could realize, you could go to 15 different banks and there'd be 15 different processes. I tell people, just keep going, just pick another one, go to it, do it. So I kind of think that we kind of think that. We think that with these processing places that they're all the same, they're all going to have the same rules, all going to be the same fees, when in fact, you're here to tell us today that that is not true, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, to your point, I really do think that the biggest value proposition that I think that I provide my clients is just simply having a human to interact with. Most of the time when you're working with Stripe and Square, good luck getting a response. If you do get a response, it's
That's
mostly
true.
automated and it's 2 or 3 weeks after when you actually had the issue. So I do think that there is a large customer service aspect that is a gap in our industry. So I think that any business owner out there that is having problems with funding or with which is getting the money actually from accepting payment to your bank account, that timeline, if that is extended, that's a huge problem for cash flow, as we were kind of talking about
Yes.
before.
Absolutely, especially for the contractor who, probably does their bids and then there's a pre, a middle, and a finish, and nothing's any worse than, and there's something about when you have money due at the end of your project, there's something about, I keep telling my contractors, make that the smallest amount because for some reason that the either the home builder that has hired you, whoever's hired you, they think that that's like your profit. They still don't realize that you have a lot to come out of that. So just make it the smallest number at the end. You'll find that you get it paid. Otherwise, if it's too big, then they just do not seem to. They think it's just your bonus, or yeah. But anyway, so back to this. So this customer service, this is something you take pride in. Tell us how you handle a call when somebody has a problem.
Absolutely. I really think that it is the biggest metric is speed, right? If you're calling your payment processor and it takes them days, it just it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, right? Because oh, okay, it's very important that I pay you, but not for me to get paid as the contractor, right?
Right.
I look at it completely differently. I am a business owner first. Sorry about that. I'm getting a call. So I'm a business owner first. So I understand fully how important it is
Yes.
that people get the money on hand as soon as humanly possible. Because to your point, as it was before, not all money that comes in the door is profit. So we need
Right.
to make sure that these business owners get it as soon as humanly possible.
Absolutely. That's one thing I also like about you, Gannon, in this position. Where I have all the years that I grew up in the construction industry, in the building industry, it makes now for my business now, I think it makes it special to know those connections. And that's what I like about your business. You're an entrepreneur too. You're coming from their end. You know what needs to happen with these processing payment platforms. And yeah, sometimes you don't even get an answer. I will have to say that. You may put something out there, email everybody, talk to everybody, and you might get some generic, we're on it, but then you just don't, did your problem get resolved? Yeah, no, nobody contacted.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So what makes your system and your approach different from traditional processors in the system side of it?
So in the system side, I think the biggest pillar to kind of mention here is just the optionality. With Stripe and with Square, the two big ones that you just mentioned, they only have one way to process payments, and it's called the traditional processing program. We also have optionalities as far as surcharging, as far as what we call buyer's choice, which is a dual pricing program. And we also have traditional as well. So we can skin the cat in many different ways where you're kind of locked into a certain program elsewhere. So I think the difference for us is just giving people optionality so it's actually a good fit rather than kind of a square peg, round hole type of situation.
Right. Okay. Explain, because a lot of us haven't heard of those other couple of options there. Explain those a little bit, what those actually are.
Yeah, for sure. So traditional pricing is just like Square and Stripe, right? You as a business owner, you might charge them $100, but you might receive 96 and some cents or $97, give or take, depending on the rate.
Right.
We can reduce those fees and still do the same program if people prefer that way. Another way that you can do it is surcharging, which is kind of half and half. So you are paying the fees on debit cards, but you are passing the fee on credit cards, for example. So, you typically see these rates hover in between 3 and 4% that you're passing to the customer. And that basically takes a little bit of the load off of the business owner, right? And then the third option, which would be dual pricing, which is essentially the other end of traditional pricing. So we have traditional where the business owner pays all the fees. We have surcharging where they pay give or take half of the fees. And then we have dual pricing where they pay no fees. So they would just pay, a small monthly fee for the program and then no payment processing fees on top of that. And to give you an idea, these programs over on this side, it's typically under $100 a month. So if you are, paying over $100 a month and you are not against the idea of passing the fee to the customer, this is typically where I will suggest people. And then you can go to, multiple millions of dollars a month or a year, and you're still only paying, $50 to $100 a month on payment processing, where, when you're doing the traditional program, that can get into the multiple thousands of dollars a month. And it really, really opens up some cash flow for these businesses.
Absolutely. This is great. This is why I wanted to have you on here. Okay. So, and as far as, we've all had it, you go out to the restaurant, and if you run a credit card, they charge you a fee to run your credit card. People kind of expect, if I'm using they're starting to expect a little bit of that. So, it's not anything that, your customers necessarily going to be, instantly say no, right?
Absolutely. And just to give you some data, I would say between 80 to actually, it might even be more, maybe like 85 to 95% of our accounts that we sign today are doing the dual pricing program because now, like you said, culturally, we're just becoming we're accepting of it. We're more accepting.
Yeah, it is true. Okay, one thing I think contractors care deeply about, I know I did, is cash flow. How do smarter payment systems help businesses get paid faster without
Absolutely.
paying
So
more fees?
yeah, so on the
Yeah.
on the back end, it really depends on who you're dealing with. With us, for example, we can manipulate the batch timing on the back end to essentially make sure that you get paid as quickly as humanly possible. So for example, if you as a business stop taking payments every day at 5 p.m., why would we want you to batch out at 12 p.m., for example, or
Right.
11 p.m.? We can make it a little bit shorter so that you get paid earlier, essentially. So if you are working with a Square, with a Stripe, with a PayPal, for example, you have the option to pay a little bit more and instantly transfer that into your account. Not what I would suggest for most situations. Or you're waiting up to 3 days, 4 days, 5 days in some case to actually get funded from these transactions.
Yeah.
So with us, we have ways that we can make it happen sooner. We can make it happen later, depending on their situation. But I think, again, it just goes back to that flexibility of you have options with us where before you're kind of pigeonholed into one option.
Okay. Okay. Talk to us quickly about your system, text to pay, online invoicing, recurrent billing, and automations that simplify the collection process.
Absolutely. So that is kind of the next pillar of our business. So we partner with various software. So typically the text to pay, the reoccurring invoicing, and all of those things that you mentioned, we rely on our software partners to essentially plug into the back end, and then we can complement each other there. So we have
Okay.
50 to 100 different software integrations, and we're creating new relationships almost daily at this point, because we're kind of realizing that more and more people are happy to do the text to pay features. They're happy to do buy now, pay later, which we're working on as well. A lot of people, they aren't swiping cards as often now. It's more invoicing. So nowadays, instead of thinking, so when you should think of me, if you see a terminal like one of these guys right here, we absolutely do these. However, for the most part, we're working with invoicing and software.
Okay, great. So a lot of contractors still chase invoices manually, though. What should a modern payment workflow with those invoices actually look like today?
It should have automated reminders. It should have some type of AI integration where you can see whether those reminders have been viewed, whether they have been properly sent out, whether they have been, received all the way down from top to bottom. Like, you need to make sure that these net 30, net 60 type of payments, we need to make sure that they're actually being brought in, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. Close those, finalize those, get what you're due, right?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned, kind of on your website when we talked earlier, you mentioned about merchant statement reviews and payment analysis. What exactly does that process look like?
For sure. So typically what I will do when I am speaking with the business owner, I will request a merchant statement. So what that shows us is, the card volume that they accepted last month, the rates that they paid, and all of the nitty-gritty details of all of the different card fees. And what we do is we give it to our internal team. They create a statement analysis for you, which is usually a 24 to 48 hour process. We can get them quicker for, smaller businesses, a little bit more lengthy depending on the deal, the deal size, right? And then we give them an apples to apples comparison on what it looked like for them last month and what it would look like for them moving forward with us. So it shows them the savings. It shows them kind of where they may have been taken advantage of in the past, which is a really, really useful tool. Even if you're not exactly looking to make a switch right now, it's just good to have the information moving forward.
Absolutely. And we often get information from people that we're wanting to switch to that doesn't necessarily compare apples to apples. I like that you said that, because that's the most important piece.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what are some business owners shocked to discover with these analyses when you review them?
So it is, I have a couple here. I would say the most common occurrence is they are not aware that they are being charged so many unnecessary fees, I would say. So there are definitely fees that are necessary for payment processing, things that you cannot get around no matter whether you're with us or with Joe Schmo down the street, right?
Right.
However, there are also some what I would call phantom fees where they're completely unnecessary and you are quite literally only paying for the person's time, if you will. They're deciding to charge you something for air. So I get in a lot of conversations where they're like, wait, I'm overpaying here, I'm overpaying there. And it's a very common occurrence that they kind of get a little bit upset with their previous rep, where I take a more educational route. I would prefer for them to know exactly how much I'm making off of this account, how much they stand to save. I want them to have all of the information up front so that I don't have to deal with that sort of tension with my client 6 months down the road.
Great point. Good thinking. Okay, for a contractor processing significantly monthly revenue, so we're talking about our pest controls, we're talking about our HVACs, we're talking about those that do that regularly servicing, those service contracts, the contractor processing significant monthly revenue. What kind of savings are realistically possible?
So I'll give you an exact example. I won't use the business's name because I didn't ask them permission. However, I have multiple businesses in my books that I am saving them over $100,000 a year on their payment processing fees by just switching from one program over to the other. They still take payments the same way. All of their employees don't need to be retrained. all of that. And it is just a simple switch of a program. And all of a sudden they are saving $10,000 a month. So I have seen it once. I have seen it a million times. People should be taking a look at their merchant statements. They should be looking
Wow.
on a regular basis.
That's amazing. I'm gonna make sure not I'm going everybody in my mastermind, I'm gonna tell them about this. I'm gonna tell everybody I can tell about this because that's significant, Gannon. That's life changing. That I mean, what that would give another $100,000 easily a year would give somebody in their business. Number one, I think it would give them just some peace of mind, some
Absolutely.
big chunk of peace of mind. And my goodness, I mean, think about how much those other places are overcharged.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. If you look at the margins behind Stripe and Square, it's it's ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous. And that is also part of my process. What I will tell them is like, hey, transparently, this is the amount of basis points that Stripe and Square were making off of you. This is our offer right here. You can do the math on how much we are making off of you. I feel that this is more mutually beneficial and fair. That is essentially the cadence of the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked about, that this is not really an overwhelming process, but what advice would you give to business owners who feel stuck in an outdated system because switching does sound so overwhelming? Oh no, not
Yes.
another platform, not another thing for, us to learn and change.
Right. And you bring up such a great point. I would say that that is probably the blocker for most people. And I can put their mind at ease very quickly. So we take pride in understanding the softwares that we are helping our clients through. Right. So we have a team of dedicated support representatives where they do nothing all day but help business owners transition from one software to the next, customize
Okay.
it, help them get all of that good stuff set up. And if we need to do continued training to make sure that their employees are well equipped to do their
Yeah.
jobs, we will
Uh-huh.
make it happen. And I also just have a commitment to, if I don't know something, I will learn it and then I will help you through it.
Oh, that sounds great. So there's a whole team dedicated to that one problem. I love it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Okay. For someone listening who wants to see if they're overpaying or wants a free merchant statement analysis, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Please send me an email, consultwithanubis@gmail.com, or go to my website. It is anubisconsultantgroup.com. If you go through the free call at the top right, you can schedule a call with me, 45 minutes. I'll take you through the entire process of just going over your merchant statement, seeing what we can make happen.
Wonderful. And what type of businesses are the best fit for this offer?
Contractors are absolutely the best. I would say anyone that is doing large transactions where they are taking a look at their fees and they are just completely outside of the realm of reality. So I work with a lot of contractors. I work with a lot of auto industry, a lot of gyms, a lot of restaurants. Yeah, those would be the main five, I would say.
Okay. Okay. To my listeners, I want to encourage you, don't let this episode just become more information in your head and never act on this. This is life changing here today, what we're talking about. If you're a contractor or business owner who constantly feels overworked and underpaid, there's a reason for that. A lot of times it's not because you aren't working hard enough. It's because money is leaking out of your business in places that you haven't even stopped to look at yet. So right now, sometimes it's payment processing fees. Look at that. Sometimes it's at outdated systems. Sometimes it's the fact that your business isn't showing up where customers are searching now. That AI is changing the internet. But you owe it to yourself to know the numbers. Take action this week. Reach out to Gannon and let him do his free merchant statement review and show you what may be costing you money every single month and how much. And if you're wondering whether your business is even being found online anymore, go to dnd-business-systems.com, book a free visibility review with me. We'll take a look at your business, where it stands, what may be missing, and what you can do to improve it. And until next time, because at the end of the day, you deserve to know exactly where your money is going, exactly where your leads are coming from, and exactly what your business is capable of producing before you ever step onto that job site. So don't stay stuck working harder when the right systems can help you work smarter. Until next time, remember, this is your platform. Your voice matters. Keep building smarter, keep growing stronger, and don't let good information die in your notes without taking action. And if this episode brought you value, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone else, another contractor or business owner who needs to hear it as well. We'll see you next time on The Builder's Edge.